It's just after 2 a.m. on a cold night in December 1967. A young patrolman in Ashland, Nebraska, Herbert Schirmer, is out on routine duty, alone in his cruiser, covering quiet rural roads. And then he sees something that doesn't fit the night. Ahead, near the junction of Highway 6 and Highway 63, Schirmer notices flashing red lights. At first, he assumes it's practical, maybe a broken down vehicle, maybe a hazard on the road, so he turns toward it. But as he gets closer, he later says it wasn't a truck at all. He described a shiny, oval, or football-shaped craft, low to the ground, with red-lit portholes and an orange glow underneath. The kind of sight that makes your brain stall for a second, because you're trying to force it into something familiar. And remember, he isn't telling this as a civilian looking up from a backyard. He's a police officer on duty, a person trained to observe, to report, and to stay calm when something feels wrong. Which makes the next part more unsettling, because in his account, the timeline starts to fracture. Schirmer later wrote a quick note in his log describing what he'd seen, a simple line that became famous because it reads like a man trying to convince himself it really happened. But he also reported something stranger, a sense that he lost time, that he went from watching the object to suddenly being in a different position, outside the normal flow of events, unsure how he got there or how long it had been. In the days that followed, Schirmer's story drew attention. Investigators became involved, including researchers connected to the University of Colorado UFO study that was running at the time. And this is where the case becomes one of the most controversial police encounters in American UFO history, because part of Schirmer's abduction narrative comes from hypnosis sessions, where he described being paralyzed, taken aboard the craft, and confronted by humanoid figures. Under hypnosis, he described their faces as unnatural, with narrowed eyes, and he claimed one communicated in a mix of spoken words and something like mental instruction. He also described a symbol associated with them, often reported as a winged serpent-style emblem. Those details are the ones people remember, and they're also the ones critics challenge the hardest, because hypnosis can shape memory as much as it can reveal it. But whether you believe every detail or not, think about what happened to the man. Small town rumours, media attention, people joking about the cop and met aliens. Even if he was telling the truth, that kind of ridicule can isolate you. And even if he was mistaken, it's still a life-changing event to become the story in your own town. Schirmer reportedly continued in law enforcement for a time, but the case followed him like a shadow. There is no evidence strong enough to confirm these experiences, and no explanation complete enough to put them to rest, because on one side you have a trained officer's contemporaneous reporting, and a case serious enough to attract formal attention. On the other, you have missing time, hypnosis-derived details, and a narrative that sits right on the edge of what can be proven. So what do you think happened on that Nebraska road in 1967? Misperception, under pressure, or an encounter that changed a man's life?